What is happening? Good morning, you beautiful Jeets. Not sure if it's gonna be morning when you watch this video, but it's morning for me, so I will say good morning to you. Back for a little bit of redemption. I feel like every video I film is some sort of redemption because it's not uncommon for me to get skunked on a species. I'm back with my buddy Dan, and we have returned to the butt snagging carp spot. Only this time we're going to try to actually hook them in the facial region, at least somewhere in the facial region, maybe like on the top of the head or something. But no, all jokes aside, after that little experience of snagging that one carp, I realized the true potential of this river. It's got some good carp in it. It's obviously got some decent smallmouth and muskie. We are fully rigged and ready to rip, so we'll catch you guys out in the river. I'm pumped. You pumped, Dan?
I am pumped.
Let's get this bread, or shall we say let's feed them this bread. That's exactly what we're gonna do. Bread time. Carp 2K18. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's see if we can get today kicked off with a bang. Gonna throw a giant sub walker right at the mouth of this discharge. Maybe a 45-inch muskie will feel bad for me. Knowing my luck, I'll probably sideswipe a 20-inch pike. That was a little close. Oh my God, dude, there's carp everywhere. I just snagged one. I literally just got in the back of one. I'm not even kidding, like my first cast. I thought it was like a snag, but I literally pulled right into a carp. So we'll throw one right at the riffle, one just before the riffle, one in the middle, one on the tail end. We've entered the carp's lair. This is where you gotta be super quiet. It's so funny how sometimes the biggest fish on the lakes and rivers around here are the most timid and the biggest wieners. These fish are big time wieners. Let me get these rods out real quick. I'm gonna rig up some bread rods, also some corn rods, courtesy of Dan the freaking man. Dan goes fishing. Dan, do you go fishing? I'm going in with my bread right now. Bread rod going in. And my bread is off. Cool, that was neat. Chumming up the spot, using some of this excess bread to get these fish comfortable on what we're throwing. It's almost like the equivalent, if you wanted to get a bass comfortable eating a drop shot, you threw a bunch of drop shot worms out there, although that's not ethical. It's kind of what we're doing. That's actually, you know what? I'm not gonna use that example. I'm trying to get these carp comfortable eating what we are fishing with, that being bread and corn. So I'm rolling little tiny dough balls and I'm throwing them out there. I'm not throwing them out there too far, only because, you know, I don't wanna have to make giant casts to get these fish lured in. So I'm kind of throwing it just shy of where I think they are to lead them in a bit. And then we're throwing the baits in between where that water's coming out and where the boat is at. If you're gonna do something like this, make sure you pack the bread before you throw it out there, otherwise it'll just float. Bread is buoyant, unless pop all those little air pockets, pack it in nice and firm, make it dense, and then it'll sink like a rock. So that one's got corn, that one's got bread. We just saw 2 carp surface. We saw 1 carp swim right underneath us, which is like actually a really good sign because it means that these fish are not aware of our presence and they feel comfortable at the moment. The hunt continues. We are on, what is this, 15, 20 minutes? I'm visualizing a football field size of carp, an army of carp. I'm seeing how many are jumping. I'm seeing how many are swimming to the boat. And it's quite apparent that we're in the zone. I say that way too much, don't I? What we're dealing with right now is a prime situation where you've got some of the warmest water in this entire stretch of the river coming out at that point right there. Carp generally like the warmer water, so they are congregating over here. I'm not 100% sure if these fish are here to feed. I think some of them are definitely nose down, grubbing. But at the very least, it's good to know that we're in the area. We just need 1 or 2 fish to look down, see that bread, and slurp it up. It's a tough style of fishing. You know, with bass fishing, you can cover a lot of water. You can run a crankbait through a whole area in a matter of a few seconds. But with carp fishing, you let that bait sit, and you let the fish find your bait. Boom, 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 boom.
Like a crazy freak
Oh.
Getting bit?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see that. It's coming.
Getting bit. I think he's got it. That was a bite. Did you see the rod? First missed bite of the day. It was on rod number 4, which is kind of an oddball rod. I just kind of have it out there in normal water, essentially. It's crazy how shallow these fish will get, even though it's this cold. Water temp has to be at least mid-30s, high 30s. And they're out just apparently grubbing on a 2-foot flat, 3-foot flat. This spot's deeper because you got current that cuts in. And then out there is just, I mean, you can walk out there. It's that shallow. That's a fish. I'm on. That's him. We're good. We're good, dude. We're good. He's on. Reel that in. Oh, you gotta click it. You gotta click it. On the bottom, on the bottom. There we go. Carp on, baby. Carp on. There we go. Okay, we need a nut job here. Okay. Here we go. We're hooked up. I'm gonna bring him on the right side. I'm gonna try to bring him on the right side. Let's go, dude. We did it. All right, let me reel in this last rod. Let's look all situated. It's pretty heavy though. We're out here catching poop plant carp. I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning of today's video, but the spot that we were fishing is a water treatment plant for poop. It's not the most pristine spot you can fish, but as you can see, it's got a pretty decent amount of quality carp swimming down there. Honestly though, Dan and I were just saying it's not the biggest fish that we've seen in this spot, but it is a quality start. Dan, if you want to come in real quick and prove to the peeps that this one is not, in fact, booty snagged right in the mouth. It's a good feeling to come out here and catch one of these guys legitimately. As you know, I'm a big fan of carp. It's a fish that I've learned to love when I visited England, and I continued to carry that love over to the United States and catch them in the cold winter month of December. Not a bad start to the day. Little common carp, Illinois winter common carp. When the ice is not safe and the fishing just sucks, these guys are an amazing alternative. They fight so hard, they're fun to catch, and they get pretty big. Put Jimmy back. Back down you go. Hey, put it there, dude. Yeah, we did it. Catching poop carp in northern Illinois in the dead of winter. I can't feel my hands, but that was awesome. Woo. We're forfeiting the carp mission. We gave it a good try. I think we've been fishing out here specifically for carp for, I want to say, what do you think? 4 hours, 5 hours?
5 days.
It's been an eternity. I'm just not seeing as many, or if any, honestly, carp surfacing at the moment, so it's kind of got me a little discouraged. We're not solid on them. Did catch one though, so that is a big accomplishment. Boom. Sauce. Well, we may not have gotten the behemoth or the numbers that we were after, but we got a carp. That's one step closer. I have a lot to learn about these fish. Every time I go out and fish for them, I'm humbled. And I learned something new. That's important. If you ever go out and fish, you want to learn something new, so the next time you go out, you're a little bit better. If I had to do one thing differently though, I probably would have tried to be even stealthier than we were. And I probably would have tried to fish some of the more currenty, deeper areas. I think we kind of underestimated some of our casts and fished too much around and not in. Wouldn't you agree, Dan? Maybe.
I would.
But we just didn't light them up. But it happens. It's winter time in Illinois. Can't feel my nose. All right, let's get out of here. Oh, she looks beautiful. And to top off the carp bonanza, I've made myself a carp sandwich. Now, don't be mistaken, a carp sandwich doesn't consist of actual carp. It just consists of the stuff they eat. A little bit of corn, a little bit of bread. You want a bite? I kind of understand why we weren't catching any. It's so funny, like I think, was it like 3 months ago, I was like, oh yeah, this is the last time I'm gonna take this boat out. I'm taking this thing out, busting through ice, fishing some of the coldest conditions I've ever fished in my entire life, and she's still kicking. That is the best, and I mean the best, $800 I've ever spent. She's a beaut. Sorry if I have like corn and bread stuck to my teeth right now. I had another bite of that. Dude, you're missing out really. Sweet corn and bread tastes a lot better than you think, bud. All right, before I close today's video, I want to shed a little bit of knowledge on you guys. Now, as you know, I'm obviously not a carp expert, but I did land a carp today, and every time I go out, I learn something new. So I want to convey what I learned to you guys through the video. So I'm gonna make this short, brief, sweet, and to the point. I'm gonna go over 2 of the setups, and I'm also going to suggest some of my recommendations when it comes to fishing for carp, because to be quite plain and honest, when the bass fishing sucks, these guys can be a lot of fun, and it's something that I advocate towards anyone. Even if you think carp are lame and boring and they're ugly fish, just give it a shot. Okay, I'm gonna step off my carp soapbox and go over the riggings, the rods, and the tools. So this is the rig that we're fishing off of. It's a 12-foot aluminum john boat, flat bottom aluminum john boat, and this was super key for today's mission, largely because the spot that we wanted to fish was a water treatment plant. It was a discharge, and what a water treatment plant basically basically is a plant where they clean poop water and dump it back into the river. Now, the water that they're dumping back in the river is oftentimes cleaner than the actual water that is flowing throughout the river. And it's also a little bit warmer because that water is inside the facility moving. And once they put it back in, it's usually like 10 degrees warmer. So fish are going to congregate towards the area. So basically, in order to get to that spot, we had to use the boat. Now, let's talk about the rods. We had 4 total. You're allowed 2 rods per angler. We had 2 in those rod holders, 1 in the bow, and then 1 in the stern. This is the rod that really did them good today. This is an 8/6 medium action rod. It's actually a trout and salmon rod. It works really good on carp because it's got a very fast tip, a very soft tip. And this is the rig. We got a 1/8 ounce split shot, followed by another 1/8 ounce split shot, followed by a tiny swivel, followed by some 8-pound test, and an octopus hook. It is seriously that easy. I know a lot of carp anglers out there get really technical with their stuff, and obviously that works way better than this. But if you want to get the job done, if you only got a few hours to fish to catch these guys, this works. The other rig that we're using that we didn't necessarily get hooked up on, but I know works from past experiences, is just a sliding weight rig, which is very similar to the last one, but instead of a fixed weight, we've got a 1/2 ounce egg sinker followed by a barrel swivel. And this rig is especially good compared to this one when the fish are a little finicky. So let's say that's my bait right there. That carp picks up that bait, the hook, and he's gonna move away with it. Notice how that weight stays in place as the line moves. This is really, really effective when you're fishing for carp that are mega stingy. The rod's important, the reel's not so much. Essentially, we're using 3,000 size, 2,500 size spinning reels paired up with some 10 and 20 pound braid. 20 is a little high, 10 works really well. 10's good for running water because it cuts right through that current. And of course, the bait was probably the dumbest and most simple bait you could think of. Just some straight up white bread. I've got some potato rolls right here. This is not what we're using, but I'm just gonna use this as an example to show you guys how we rigged it on the hook because it's a very specific way. Now, getting your bread to mold to the hook can be kind of tricky. I'm not a professional at it, but one trick that I have is that whenever I pick a piece of bread, usually about this big to mold into a little dough ball, I want to make sure that I get it a little bit wet. Now, you can kind of like dip it in the water or use a bit of condensation on the boat to just make it a little bit softer and more pliable. I wouldn't recommend dipping the whole thing in the water because then it gets too loose, but you just want to mold it enough into a little ball right there. That's about good. That's about the size that we use to catch that one carp. I then take my little octopus hook and we are just going to hook the bread right on the edge there. So that hook is exposed just barely, and once we hook it in, I'm gonna mold it even some more around that hook to ensure that it's not gonna fly off on the cast. And that is what it looks like. So you never really have to worry about the bread falling off once it's in the water. It might disintegrate over like a few hours, but most of the time when it's in the water, it stays in place. It's not going to just like dissolve. The one thing you have to worry about is making sure it's on the hook for a cast. Oftentimes you'll cast and the bread will just like fly 30 feet off to the opposite direction. That's what you're looking for. How simple and easy is that? And it's also extremely inexpensive. This is not a type of fishing that requires, you know, hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So there you have it. The rigging is complete. I urge you to get out there and try to fish for a new fish species. Bass are dope. I'll always be a bass fisherman at heart until the day I die, but I just recommend going after something different. If the bite is slower, if you just want to spice it up a little bit. Carp are fun, carp are rad. Just remember that. Even though they're a little stinky and slimy and they like to hang around poop plants, that can be a lot of fun. That's it. I'm peacing out. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Hope you guys had an amazing Christmas, amazing holiday. Stay safe, keep warm, and as always, folks, keep fishing. Never stop.